Alright, pyrrho response video. I was going to just paraphrase it, but might as well play it, I suppose. And because, you know, it's just, I'll be just doing it over and over. I can't really speed it up yet because it's a new video. So, might just need to do the first 3 minutes because it'll end up just being the same arguments over and over again. But anyway, starts off a little slow here.
Well, Gary.
There we go. Well, Gary. Yeah, it would be a good one to speed up.
I'm gonna do this.
Okay, go ahead and do it. And it's okay with me. You know, I'm really not that oppressive a force. So anyway, this whole disagreement is basically because you know, I see a certain expedience in getting to a more direct conversation about direct evidence, and he wants to have a conversation in a general sense using vague terminology for vaguely described concepts like wormholing or you know, he keeps bringing up tunneling microscopes, different things, and these things aren't proven in anything. What he's claiming is taking place isn't what the thing itself is actually doing, and that's the problem with of using these elements of infrastructure as if they're established elements of physics when they're not. They're what they claim to be in name only, not in actual proven function.
Alright. So, Gary, you take yourself to be playing the serious game, right? The rest of us are glib.
The very fact that you would say the serious game and the rest of you are, you know, the very fact that you did like serious is silly or stupid just points out my exact argument. My argument is this is the world is so bad, the crimes committed against the sentient organisms are so horrific that even me having this conversation is an insult to their pain. That's how bad it is. It's grotesque. And yes, so you people are, you know, it's already bad enough that I'm not a terrorist. I mean, I've already not done my job, in a sense, because it's that bad. So, yeah, your glibness is insanely glib. Yes.
See, I think it's glib to do things like call me a pantheist.
Right. So he thinks that's taking his philosophy too far. So if I surveyed the majority of college graduates, let's just say, with science degrees, and I asked them, do you think electrons are conscious? What percentage do you think are going to say yeah? Do you think consciousness exists outside of brains? What percentage do you think are going to say yes? And so I'm being reckless or sloppy or glib in my responsibility to be fair to you. That's sort of what you're saying. I'm sort of being, I'm dissing you in this you know, trivial way without any substance. And I'm saying, no, substance is, I think this is just insane kind of thinking. To look at evolution and think that it's possible that organisms were thinking when there's no evidence of them thinking. I just think that's, and certainly no evidence of them feeling. If there's no point in feeling if you can't think about what you're feeling. If you can't consider the feelings and act on them, then what would be the point of having them? And so it blows up the logic of evolution as a theory. So that's why I call it pantheism, because it's a violation of evolutionary law.
What it is that I believe that whatever this life thing is, it goes down to the physics.
Well, again, this life thing, and I've just made tons and tons of videos saying this life thing isn't what we think it is, okay? We're a colony organism. We're not even really technically alive. If a cell is a living thing, we're not a living thing, because we're made of living things. The living things are slaves to our form and structure, and we're electric conduits, we're electrical wires. We're not the same thing mechanically. A cell and a communal organism is not the same thing mechanically. They can't, it's irrational to assume they have common functions. They're fundamentally mechanically different things.
There's elements of it in the physics. What else could it come from?
So again, this idea that because a brain exists, it must go all the way down to the physics. Because teeth exist, then photons have teeth. This is not good logic. You can't use reductionism as an excuse to frickin' shove consciousness into nothing. And again, the evidence is overwhelming. I could go over all the evidence, but I mean, the fact that we can become unconscious is the evidence, is right there. The very fact that it's so easy to turn it off means it can't be a function of the physics.
Reductionist argument. Any materialist, a non-woo-woo person would have to believe that, or something like it.
Non-woo-woo person would have to believe in what? The reductionism that that electrons have brains. No. That they feel I'm having a good day. No, they don't.
And you mischaracterize it, right?
Well, how am I mischaracterizing? You just said it. I mean, you just said consciousness has to go all the way down because unlike all the other features that we have that don't go all the way down, somehow brains go all the way down.
And you do that on and on and on. You say, I believe things I don't believe.
Well, I'm just saying that you clearly believe that my consciousness is still on even when it's off. Because that's the only way I could just be tuning it in or something. If it's just a consciousness tuner or something, then the consciousness would still be on.
Right. So you say it's a really important game, so you have to fight hard. That's fine. I'm not going to complain about that. I was asking...
I have to fight for the priorities, and so, again, that you're not understanding either. And the priorities is actually doing something productive or constructive. And so, yeah, that's what you figure out is, are these guys in my, if you're on a football team, right, you have to measure the rest of the players. I even made this argument to somebody else the other day, this metaphor. But, I mean, you're not going to sacrifice yourself. You're not going to go sitting there charging the quarterback and risking breaking your back to do this perfect sack if you know nobody else on your team is doing anything. That the wide receivers are picking their nose and nobody else is going to do shit or invest shit. So, yeah, it's not the time. It's not the battle to fight. And I'm just saying that as soon as my team becomes shit, I got to find a new team. There's no point in me playing with those guys. I got to find guys who want to play and play a game.
You to admit that I'm being honest about my opinion. Stop calling me dishonest about my opinion. I'm not trying to play a word game.
I'm not calling you dishonest about your opinion. I'm calling you dishonest about how you present evidence for your opinion. And the fact that your opinion is stated as a fact when it's not a fact, when you haven't done your job of first arguing for your presumptions. If you're going to have axioms, you have to defend them when somebody says, I don't accept your axioms.
I'm defining these words in good faith. I believe they're technically accurate and that an intelligent person of your intelligence could understand them. Could be wrong, maybe you're...
yeah, well, again, you keep arguing as if I don't understand the words. What I'm saying is I'm not going to have... if I'm going to have an argument with a theist, I'm going to argue evolution and the facts. I'm not going to argue how tall is the Holy Ghost. And then he starts making arguments about the politics between the Holy Ghost, Jesus, and God, and who's really the king, and who's really the boss. I'm not going to get into some bullshit argument like that. I'm not going to use those premises as premises for debate about the meaning of life, because they're unproven nonsense. So I'm just saying until you demonstrate with something called hard evidence that these things, that something can go faster than the speed of light or something can do. Why should I accept the terminology and be obligated to say, okay, yes, wormholing exists, when I'm saying, no, it doesn't exist as you think it exists. That's for certain. There is a mechanical explanation, and it has nothing to do with any kind of notion that something traveled faster than the speed of light.
Not intelligent enough. but I know they're comprehensible and technically detailed.
I'm saying they're not technically detailed. That's what I'm just saying to you is if you want to use it, if you want to use that vocabulary, use it with an explicit definition. Always tie it to a definition so we know exactly what you're saying. So when you say Heisenberg, you're not saying, well, we don't know where the photon is. We can't measure where the photon is. Or you're saying the photon doesn't have a location. So yes, you can use non-locality, I would say, for that purpose. But again, isn't this the rhetoric that automatically breaks? Because terminology like non-locality is used to describe different circumstances and then gets tied to, hidden variables. And they're not the same conceptually, and the words aren't even literate descriptions of the circumstance.
You don't seem to have learned them. So I say that's lazy. And since you have your own brainy new...
well, again, I'm just arguing that I'm trying to be explicit in what I'm saying. And so, again, you're just saying I want to replace a silly word with a silly word. And I'm not. I'm saying I want to replace undefined language and already ruined language like quantum with language that's more explicit and more descriptive.
Words, you expect us to accept them as...
I don't expect you to I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying if we're going to be able to communicate, I'm not going to sit there and accept your presumptions and accept your axioms. So I'm not going to use words and vocabulary that has built into it assumptions and presumptions about what reality is. So yeah, as soon as you start using Holy Ghost words, I'm going to say, no, I'm not using your religious concepts, okay? We're making an argument about the origins of species. We're not making an argument about the origin of the Holy Ghost.
Well defined, which I don't think so.
So again, you're saying it's not well defined, a ton. The idea of a quantum that has only the simplest properties, right? So I go to all this trouble to explain it has these simple properties. It moves the speed of light. It has an indestructible mass or condition, and it can be polarized. That's it. That's not explicit. It's pretty fucking explicit.
But I'm willing to accept them anyway because when you're coining terms, it's a development process. So I'm just asking you to admit that I am honestly presenting the terms that I believe are useful.
Well, again, I'm not going to keep arguing with you with terms. The problem isn't that you're using terms; it's that your terms and the whole way you argue them have carried with them. This is proven fact. This is established fact. Well, maybe the establishment has accepted that mushy language, but I'm just going to say it's completely. I can't have a conversation about reality accepting wrong axioms because my whole point in having the conversation is to point out how the axioms are wrong. How can I possibly argue the wrongness of the axioms if I must assume the existence of them? It's like me saying I must accept the existence of God to argue that God doesn't exist.
And also to not misstate my position.
I don't think I have misstated your position, and your position is, in my opinion, unfounded. It's not founded on hard evidence. It's founded on weak, mushy speculation in the woo-woo direction, in the direction of not something cause and effect, but something that somehow breaks the boundaries.
I do not think that you believe the game is more serious than me. You can point to it.
Well, I'm saying that the point is that I don't think you are appreciating, okay, in the sense that quite obviously seriousness I'm equating with how many dead bodies are on the fucking battlefield. So what I'm saying is I'm saying the war I'm seeing is a lot bigger than the war you're seeing. You're seeing a skirmish with Turkey or something, where I'm seeing, yes, World War III.
Joke with a grain of truth in it about the life when you said the billion years. It's obvious I knew your whole defense was silly.
My whole defense of what was silly? So again, you're not even being terribly articulate here. What are you arguing? And again, a joke that travels through an entire video over the tiniest of typo is, in my opinion, a hugely unnecessary distraction.
Obviously, you could tell it was a joke. You said, "Oh, but that's being glib," and
it's being just totally breaking any continuity you thought that video might have had hope of having. It's like fake Sagan spending a portion of the last video he made to me just going, "Look at his funny face. Look at the funny face I made him make." just makes watching the video a waste of fucking time.
And you insult people in glib ways all the time.
Yeah, I do it quickly. Fat ass. There, I'm done.
And that, I think, is fine. It's just a joke. It's not okay, the glib part where you're taking facts not seriously.
Oh, see, again, you're going to keep arguing to me that these are facts, and I'm going to argue that no, I'm the one who's actually right on the facts of the two-slit experiment, and you're wrong on the facts of the two-slit experiment, and so I'm going to keep finding it incredibly obnoxious for you to keep pretending that you're still on the factually correct side of this argument when you're not.
For example, you say that, you can't work with me on things that we agree on even, because other disagreements are just too big. That's glib.
It's not glib. That's like saying it's glib for, let's say you're a conservative economically. So all you really care about is that you really like capitalism, you want a good capitalist game, and you're a Republican for that reason. And then you find out there's a bunch of racist guys who are on your side just because you happen to have a coalition, but they're just overt Klan members. And then you find out there's these religious kooks who want to control everybody's behaviors because they have very small penises. And you're saying these guys are very destructive to my cause. I'm going to be tainted by the dirt of these people. And what I'm saying is your idealism will destroy the practicality of democratic politics. If you're going to sit there and I know you're holding this grenade in your back pocket, this gun or whatever, this blight, okay, this blight to hope for progressives of I want to open borders, and it's just a game ender. It's the end of the conversation. You just blew up any hope we had of getting in the door. Okay, it's like getting into the 21 Club or something, and you've got your NASCAR magazine in your back pocket, and the guy's going to see that fucking thing, and then we're done. We're not going to get in.
Saying that we will not work on something we both agree is good because of other things that we aren't going to work on together. I guess since I won't help you...
Well, again, you're just not understanding political reality. What I'm saying is that's exactly how you fail politically, is not to recognize that your closest ally can be your biggest liability. Now, if you don't understand the fact that an ally can be a huge liability, I mean a gigantic liability. You can be in partners, have a partner in business, and he's a huge fucking crook, and he can ruin you and ruin your life. I'm just saying that, yes, the impracticality of your idealism, your whole robots are going to help everybody and this is all going to happen, but all of that pie-in-the-sky crap is exactly what makes people who have any kind of reasonable understanding of what our problems are, which is this unaccountable spending, this inability to ever add up a number rationally. Yeah, that's going to just mean we're never going to get elected. We're not going to win an election because every time we're close, you're going to sit there and open your fucking mouth with some sort of woo-woo bullshit, and we're not going to get in the door. You're going to change the game, and you're going to end the game.
On antinatalism.
It's never been about antinatalism, so again, that doesn't have anything to do with any of these conversations. I as much as I care about antinatalism or ephilism, more importantly, as a character issue and a subject, I don't have any expectation. You people, frankly, yes, you're way too stupid to get something that rational. But that's not a politically viable issue, so that one doesn't really matter at this point in time politically. But yeah, there could be a point where it becomes important enough where, yeah, I'm not going to tolerate a disagreement on that subject. I can't do that as a practical matter now. There's no value to doing it now, to segregating based on that lack of performance. It's like I'm in the Republican Party and I've got Nazis running around. So yeah, the Klan members aren't quite as bad. I got a bigger problem of the Nazis in the party.
It's not worth working together on IRV or stopping Trump or anything else. That's glib. You're not taking.
It's not about working together. It just depends on what you're defining working together as. Again, I'm saying your inclusion in a party platform is too risky, too much of a liability. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, if it's done in the circumstance of let's go there together. Like I said, if we're going to 21 Club independently, I don't got a problem. But we're not doing it independent.
You say something like IRV is important, but you're not taking it seriously enough. But we get to worse things. Your whole claim of superiority is a big joke.
Whatever that means. So this is an accurate paraphrase. I have some claim of superiority. In what way exactly? In the way that, I believe that I have rationally defended my philosophy and that I'm correct. Yes, I believe that.
Moral superiority. Antinatalism.
Again, I don't even like the word moral superiority, so I don't know why you would accuse me of having something to do with being a morally superior person. So that's sort of irrelevant. I guess I would say I have logical superiority. I have evidence superiority.
Is likely a pipe dream.
Irrelevant to my view of the game to be played and the reason to play it. So it doesn't matter. You could say something's a long shot. It's a necessary shot, so it just doesn't matter. There's no game to play at all if this doesn't get fixed.
Right, and at best it's a long-term idea. There's people suffering in the world right now, Gary. You use this idea as a pipe dream, not as a long-term plan.
Well, again, so that would be your characterization. Again, this is why we can't really work together, because we have a completely different vision. So I would agree that you're going to look at, there's people suffering right now. Yeah, well, they're suffering right now because no one fixed the condition in the first place. I existed because no one gave my mother any kind of rational advice when she was a young woman. So she, did what everybody else is doing. And she did what the establishment says is the right thing to do, because nobody would be anti-establishment. So again, the very thing I am doing is the very thing other people weren't doing then, because I'm in the business of preventing it from happening again and happening over and over and over again. And we could talk about malaria or world hunger or any of these subjects, and yes, it's likely we're going to fall on exactly the opposite side. I'm going to say spend the money on a cure, you're going to say spend the money on a Band-Aid.
But it's a pipe dream that evidently enables you to have attitudes that prolong the suffering of other people.
Well, that's your accusation. So another accusation made by Pyrrho that won't be defended with a single shred of evidence. Not a single shred of evidence that your policy of, yes, give the poor people food so they can have more babies and that'll fix world hunger, because eventually someday the robots will take care of the problem. Your unrealistic, undocumented evidence of how your solution is a solution when it never has been a solution and it never will be a solution. Your daydreams about nest building will never be realized. You're never going to build a fucking nest. You're just going to keep advocating that people lay eggs in shit.
Right. So, you on your high mountain, that's what antinatalism as a concept is for you.
Well, again, you're still not even up to speed. I'm not an antinatalist. I'm an ethylist. Okay, I think the very nature of this stupid, competitive, idiotic, evolutionarily controlled bloodbath is moronic. Silly, stupid donut chasers torturing each other for nothing.
It's a ladder that you climb up on that mountain. We don't have to do anything but look out at the suffering and go, I said it was all bad, therefore here I am at the top of the mountain.
Right, so that's what you're saying I'm doing. I just went to the top of the mountain to gloat. See, I told you so. That's what I'm doing, asshole. So again, these paraphrases are in some way to encourage me that there's some reason for me to see some viability in fucking being an ally with some asshole who can't even paraphrase me correctly, ever. Fuck you. Over and over and over again. As appropriately stated. Fuck you.
So, I wasn't asking you to respect a friendship. I believe you should treat people you discuss things with an ethics that actually goes beyond friendship. You can get away more with a friend, actually.
Whatever. It's YouTube. Again, I don't know what the nature of the disrespect is. You're the one who called my physics. You want me to go play the old videos? You trivialized it, you called it idiotic, you called it nonsensical, you called it millions of things, you never even watched the fucking videos, and you critiqued it. And then you're going to tell me what a friend is? Fuck you. I'm saying you're the one who crossed the line 500 times before I crossed the fucking line, okay? You beat any kind of hope I had in you being at all useful out of me with your fucking bullshit.
I'm just asking you to admit, if you're going to talk to me, that I'm honestly trying to present terms, and they're...
No, you're dishonesty claiming proof when you don't have it. You keep doing it. Yeah, Jefferson's a rapist. You use this exaggerated language. You don't take any, you don't pay any attention to any kind of context. You just throw things in pigeonholes and fucking label them, and yet it's bullshit. Okay? It's bullshit. You don't have proof for what you claim to be the facts.
Technical. And if I'm wrong, fine, I want you to call me on that.
No, you don't. Every time somebody calls you on it, you do this shit.
To have